and welcome back to my channel. On this episode of Christian Cringe, I had a commenter that said something that I didn't want to put in comments that annoy me and I didn't want to read because they are in an interracial relationship, and I do not want to see this person attacked by the pure amount of Colfax ragers that I get on a fairly regular basis on this channel. So we're not going to out him. We're just going to discuss what he said and my experiences and some of what I have seen within the Christian community within racism. And this isn't to say that all Christians are racist, because I know several. One lives in this house and she's definitely not a racist. She raised an anti-bigoted child, a child who fights against bigotry. So I know not all Christians, before you come in and say, I am on this episode very specifically referring to certain Christians. Not big. Okay, so I grew up in a fairly conservative, almost cult-like, for anyone who's familiar with the IFB, the Critical movement, things like that, then you will understand what I am referring to. But I also saw other churches. This did not happen. Things I'm talking about did not necessarily happen in the churches that I went to, ish. Meaning that if it did happen in the church, I didn't stay there. But there was a lot when I was growing up of people that I saw that used lots of excuses to be bigoted. And they used the Bible to do it. And one of the main things that they used was the mark of Caine. A lot of people like to say that people of color, especially Black people, and they used it as an excuse as to why America had slavery, why Black people shouldn't have rights. And yes, they did think that Black people shouldn't be able to vote and they shouldn't have rights, because they are descendants of Cain, and the mark of Cain is actually their black skin. Which is horrifically disgusting, because A, there is no mark of Cain, because, the Bible is not real. And second, you're using a book and a myth to justify why our country had slavery, but they believe that they are lesser than in God's eyes because they are the descendants of Cain, and they will specifically quote things like sin of the father will be passed down to the child. Obviously, they are more violent because Cain was violent, and they are direct descendants of Cain, and you can't argue with DNA. Like, we don't have evidence that they're directly descended and that their DNA is more violent. That doesn't make any sense. Other things that they would use to justify it, and it's not in the Bible, I've read it, but they would say that the Bible says that you should not marry someone who is not evenly yoked. It does say that, but it's meaning religion. But a lot of people say that you shouldn't have an interracial dating life because you are not evenly yoked, because you are different. You are different breeds and different species, and they shouldn't mix. No, people are not black. No. But the biggest one was definitely the mark of Cain theory, and I've literally heard it as an excuse as to why Klan members are Klan members. Yeah, I've met Klan members. The Ku Klux Klan still actively exists. They're just a little more hush-hush about it. But for an excuse for the necessary of the Klan to keep, and I kid you not, the necessity of the Klan to keep the descendants of Cain in line. It is their biblical duty. That was what I was told. And that is why we obviously kept them as slaves, because they were the descendants of Cain, and they were too violent and too stupid to survive on their own, even though Africa has a diverse population that has been surviving on its own since before Europeans were a thing. Yeah. I just hadn't thought about that in years, and I thought I'd talk about it here on this channel, that there is an actual theory within the Christian community that the mark of Cain is actually for Black people. And they use that as an excuse to racism, and that theory still exists to this day. Granted, I haven't heard it in like 10 years, but those people are still alive. still saying stuff, still in their beliefs. I just don't talk to them because I don't deal with racists. But yeah, that's an actual thing. I don't know if y'all know about that, but that comment made me think about it, and I did kind of want to talk about it here because to me that was always crazy. I always thought that was the weirdest, like one of the weirdest things that I encountered when I was a Christian was that maybe I should start a series on weird things Christians have said to me. Because I got some other doozies, like the fact that they think they should be able to torture people, but that's a different story for a different day. Holy wars and other things. We'll do a Christian cringe on that one later. But yeah, just remember that there are people out there using the Bible as an excuse to keep people from dating people that are not the same skin color as them. They think that black people are inherently more violent because of the theory of Caine, which is the stupidest thing I've ever heard. And they try to justify slavery and try to say that they wish it still existed to this day. And they call themselves Christians in this country. So, ew. Yeah, that was fun. But yeah, just a weird comment that made me think about that and thought I should discuss it on this channel. And I will see y'all later.